What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon, and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and oh my god, okay, so we finally hit 1,000 subscribers. And I say we because honestly, like, and this is so cliche and corny and whatever, but I really would not be here without all of you guys. So I just want to say thank you so much to anybody who has watched this channel, whether you've just floated in and out, whether you've subscribed, liked, shared, anything like that. It means the world to me that I'm here because I started this channel when I really needed an outlet. So it's really exciting to me that I get to share my love of books with you guys and that some of you guys have shared your love of books with me. So big round of applause to everybody. But the reason that we are here today is to answer some frequently asked questions and a couple of listener questions from you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the first thing that I want to address are spoiler warnings. So I do tag all of my book reviews as spoiler free, and it's very important to me that I don't ever spoil anything for anybody, because I'm a really big believer in spoilers should be on your own terms. Like, if you want to be spoiled, great. If you don't, that's fine. It should be entirely up to you. So I never want to spoil anything by accident for you, especially if you don't want to be spoiled. Plus, when it comes to books, I feel like if you're interested at all in the story or anything that I'm saying, then you should definitely go out and give it a shot. So I don't want to give away the ending for you unless we're doing a video where I give away the ending for you, but that's kind of beside the point. So I really do my best to stay away from spoilers. So what I consider a spoiler is that I'm never going to give away the ending for you. I'm never going to give away some kind of crazy twist or tell you what happens to the characters, anything like that. It's mostly just me giving you my opinion. Maybe I'll say like I didn't like the ending, but I'm not going to tell you what happened in the ending. Any details that I give you are going to be things that you could find like on the back of the book or within the first 50 pages, so you should be pretty safe there. I have still had people tell me that they feel like they've been spoiled, and to that I say I am so sorry, but when you're giving your opinion on something, sometimes it's going to happen. Knowing that I like the book is automatically going to spoil something. So I do my best. I try not to tell you anything that I feel is important, so you should be totally fine going into the books spoiler free. I also want to say, if you're going to talk spoilers in the comments of my videos, please tag them with a big, huge spoiler warning, because again, like, I don't want anybody to be spoiled by accident. I'm more than happy to talk spoilers with you guys. Just please think of everybody else. Just some people don't want to be spoiled, so just, put a big, huge spoilers ahead before you type anything out, and then we're golden. The other thing that I wanted to address are recommendations. I really love getting recommendations from you guys, and a lot of you have been really good about, giving me some really great recs, and sometimes it can seem like I'm never going to get to your recommendations, and I just want to tell you, like, what happens. So whenever you recommend a book to me, the first thing I do is I look it up on Goodreads, I read the description, I see whether or not I'm going to be into it. If I think I'm going to like it, I mark it as want to read, and then I go and see if it's available at my library. If it's not available at my library, then it's just gonna be floating in the ether, kind of in the back of my mind, keeping an eye out for it, and then it'll just kind of come down to if I'm in the mood for it or not. And that sounds really wishy-washy and it doesn't really make any sense, but unfortunately, that's just how I pick books that I'm going to read. If it's available at my library, I'm more than likely going to read it really quickly because I like to listen to audiobooks. If it's not, then it's just going to be whenever I get to it and whenever I'm in the mood for it. Like right now, I have like 10 books just sitting on my shelf, like my to-be-read pile here at home, and one of which I'm reading right now. I've had it for 2 years, never touched it. So sometimes these things just happen, but I really do like getting recommendations from you guys, and just, keep them coming. I always look them up. I'm always really into it, and I will definitely get to them eventually. If I'm not ever going to read it, I'll probably tell you because I'm pretty upfront about those things, but that's where we're at with recommendations. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to some of your questions. Our first one is from Jenny Raylan, and she said, what is your favorite book you have ever read? I hate questions like this because I categorize books in my head, and things are similar to me in my head that might not make sense like in real life, and it's very hard for me to compare things. But if I had to pick one book, it'd probably be Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer, because I can read that book over and over and over and over and over again. It's always good. Every time I read it, I always really enjoy it, and I always find something new that I can get out of it. So if I was stranded on a desert island and I could only take one book, probably be that one. Maybe Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, but that's like a maybe. I really like that book though, so I don't know. But for right now, we'll go with Life as We Knew It. She also asked, which book did you have the most fun reviewing / which video was the most fun to make? And I would say the ones that are really fun to make are the ones that I really enjoyed and like totally like threw me for a loop. Those would be books like The Knife of Never Letting Go, A Court of Mist and Fury, just books that like completely consumed me and I just have to like word vomit all over about them because they're just really fun to talk about. And I will throw in like the least fun ones to make are the ones that make me really emotional because I know that I have to talk about them before I turn the camera on so that I can cry before I'm on camera so that I don't cry while I'm on camera. And sometimes there are some close calls, but I'm pretty good at making those cuts so you don't see any of that. So next up we have a couple of questions from Emma P, and she asks, what is a book that has changed your life and why? And I can think of a lot of books that I really enjoyed reading and a lot of books that really impacted the way I think about things. But I think when it comes to like changing my life, I probably would have to say Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, just because it wasn't until I read those books that I really figured out how to find more books that I liked, because up until that point I wasn't super into reading. I was slowly getting there because it was with Maybird and the Ever After that I really started to be like, okay, books are something that I want. Like I want to be reading more of these things. But it took me a really long time to figure out how to find books that I think I would like, because for the longest time I just see things and I'm like, I don't know if I'd like that. I don't know if I want to spend my time trying to read it if I'm not going to enjoy it. But when I read Twilight, I really liked that. Kicked off my vampire obsession. We all have that phase. So I knew that I wanted to read more vampire books and then like more werewolf books, more dark stuff. I got into witches and eventually led into fantasy, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what really made me able to find more books that I like to read. So that's when my reading obsession just really started to get going. That's probably what really changed my life there. And her second question is, what made you start to read? And I started reading because my mom always read to me when I was little, so I really enjoyed stories. And unfortunately, I also grew up in the time of AR tests. I'm sure some of you guys know what those are. I hated those because I was a really slow reader and I didn't always remember every little detail. And so it just put a lot of pressure on me, and I didn't like to read for that reason. But we always had like the Scholastic Book Fair, and I would find a couple of things that I liked with that. And just eventually, through a lot of trial and error, I found what I liked and I just kept going with it. I always really liked stories and I wanted more of them. And as I got older, my mom wasn't reading it to me anymore. I needed to find those stories on my own. And like I just said, Twilight's what really helped me with that. But it was Maybird and the Ever After that really got me like, okay, I know there are books out there, I just need to kind of find them, because that one was really awesome. It took me like 6 months to read it, but I loved it. I really stuck with it, and I kept notes so I was able to follow along better, and that's what really kind of helped me get past that barrier I was having with the slow reading and the dyslexia and all that kind of stuff. All right, so our next question is from Sammy, and they ask, it's not really a question, but they wanted to know if I could recommend or list some of my favorite LGBT books. And I haven't read a whole lot of those books, mostly just because a lot of them are YA contemporary, and I'm not really into YA contemporary. Like, it has to be very specific when it comes to those. So I don't really have a lot. I really enjoyed Highly Illogical Behavior, mostly for the anxiety though, but I think that's a really good like showcase of just these characters kind of like dealing with their lives and trying to kind of figure things out. So hello, future Shannon here. I wanted to re-answer this question from Sammy because as I was thinking about it later, I totally left off all of the books by Rick Riordan. So he wrote the Percy Jackson series, but as he's gone on, he's really dabbled and explored the LGBT spectrum, like gender fluid, bisexual, like gay, all of that kind of stuff. And it's really, really awesome to see. You get a little bit of it in The Heroes of Olympus, which is the sequel to Percy Jackson and the Olympians, but then you get a whole lot of it in Magnus Chase, which is an amazing series. It takes place after the events of like all of the Percy Jackson books, but they're very loosely connected. So they're in the same world, and it's about Annabeth Chase's cousin, but that's really all that you need to know. Percy Jackson does make an appearance in the last book, I believe, but you don't have to have read his story to really understand what's going on. Like, you'll be totally fine if you want to skip straight to it, but in that book, the main character is bisexual, and the love interest is actually gender fluid, and just the conversations and the way that they kind of understand things, that give and take, is really, really, truly amazing. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do. Oh, and his Trials of Apollo book is pretty good as well. Not as amazing as Magnus Chase, but it still has those kind of conversations in there because Apollo is probably pansexual. I don't know, it's a god, so it's kind of weird. But you still have those sorts of themes in those books as well. So really just check out Rick Riordan because he's amazing. He's doing amazing stuff. And our final question is from Mary. She asked, books that made you fall in love with reading. So obviously Maybird and the Ever After is going to get forever props for being the first book that I was like committed to. I'm gonna finish this. It's gonna be great because that book was just absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it. I'd actually would like to find that because my copy is gone and I'd really like to read it again. But other than that, I would actually also say the Percy Jackson novels, which is probably a big duh because that's the name of my channel. But I was really into those books when I read them the first time, and I read them, it was either the summer between 7th and 8th grade or the summer between 8th and 9th grade, but I read all of them in one summer. I was obsessed with them, and they're just so fun. They don't ever feel like a chore to read. They're really easy to like consume and handle, and the characters are just so relatable. I almost wish that I had found these sooner. Like if I had read these maybe like in 6th grade when I was like first kind of starting to get into reading, I think I would have had an easier go of it because I just really latched onto those and I really liked them, and that kind of kicked off a whole other obsession like with like fantasy and mythology and all of that hit after my vampire phase. I still would have had a vampire phase. Every girl has a vampire phase, but I just think it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if I had read those sooner because they're really amazing. And anybody like out there who is trying to get into reading, if you are at that age or even if you're older, because Percy Jackson's just amazing for all, go and read those books because they're so, so good. Like Rick Riordan really found his calling when it came to those books and everything that he writes. So just go check them out because they are absolutely amazing. And that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I really do want to say thank you again just to all of you guys out there who have subscribed, who are listening, who are continuing to listen to me rant every week, 2 days a week. I really hope I can keep going for 2 days a week. But I'm just really, really happy to be here, and I'm just so proud of the progress that this channel has made. I have a lot of stuff planned out for this year. I'm actually really ahead in my reading. I have a lot of stuff planned out for you guys, so I am just excited to see what's in store. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything got for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And I'd also just like to say that this is my happy face.